Hi, Tracy. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, I'm
This
glad.
You're the first person here. Introduce yourself.
Let's see. My name is Tracy Scott. I live in Brooklyn. I do some work with the Campaign for New York Health here with Ellen Belofsky and Anna Georgievic. I don't know if you know them. And I saw actually that this was being offered last Tuesday, and I couldn't make it then. And then I wasn't 100% sure it was going to be offered. And you had said it would be offered for a couple of weeks, but then, of course, did I find my email, etc. So I was so happy to see that I hadn't missed it, just by missing that one. So I have tweeted for some things for New York Health, but I'm not really facile with it. So I figured you all could help me out.
Great. This is the space for you. We'll wait a couple of minutes to see who else joins in. But yeah, it's and here come people.
Can you tell me what your role is?
Yeah, I am a learn as I go activist that thought, hey, if people were tweeting more about the New York Health Act, maybe that would put more pressure on it. I should start Zoom meetings to teach people how to tweet. And here we are.
I think that is great. As a person who has been around the block, I'm 64 for a while, I think it's fabulous to see all of this stuff, and especially now with the pandemic, this is really, we can't get the bodies out in the street. But also it's great for folks who are older, who are disabled, who have kids, what have you. It's like, let's expand the reach. So perfect.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. Kendall, like the first 10 minutes, I'm not saying anything you haven't heard before. So if you want to look at like the hashtag retweet past New York Health, like the RT past New York Health, and see if there's any tweets you want to write to at the holdouts. Feel free to do that if that seems like a fun way to use your time. Hey, hi Tina.
Hi.
Could you, for the first couple of minutes, we'll just introduce ourselves. If you, who are you, where you're coming from, how you heard about this?
I am a retiree. I formerly worked in the field of communications. I heard about this from a fellow attendee, Kathy Collins, who is a friend of mine. I'm a member of DIA, Disabled in Action. And I worked with Twitter a little bit when I was working, but I never really got any formal training on it. So that's what I'm looking forward to with this class.
Great. Well, we're so glad to have you here. We'll just do a couple more minutes as you're coming in. Just introduce yourself, your name, where you live in New York, and how you heard about this.
Hello, Catherine.
Hi, Michael. Mr. Marshall, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Michael will do.
Michael, thank you for joining us. How did you hear about this class?
I did a training last night on telling your story with Ursula and I forgot the other woman's name, through the New York physicians.
Okay. Yeah, maybe Yuling?
Yuling, thank you.
Great. And have you ever used Twitter before? Do you have a Twitter handle?
I have an aversion to Twitter.
Okay. I hear you. It is not an intuitive platform. And one of the reasons why I put this training together is because when I started using Twitter, my partner had already been using Twitter for years. And for like the first month or two, almost every time I tweeted, I was like, is this right? Am I going to annoy somebody by sending this tweet? Is this the best way to do that? So I wanted to be able to be that person to other people who are trying to learn to use the platform for activism purposes. So
I hate the rabbit holes. I just hate them.
I hear you. Well, so today we're going to learn how to use Twitter in a very focused way. I talk like there's essentially Twitter for how normal people use Twitter, and then there's like Twitter for what we're going to do today, and how we use it is it's easy to like log on, do it, log off, and not get sucked in. So hopefully that will be this will be a manageable way to participate in the Twitter activism that is happening. Is there anybody who is like the brand new to Twitter? They made a handle specifically for this training and they've now been on the platform before?
I've been on it, but honestly, I mostly copy Campaign for New York Health tweets and send them out.
Okay, so I mean, that's almost what we're going to do today. This is supposed to be geared towards new people. There's no question that is dumb. I can't keep up with the chat box. So if you have any questions or if I say something that was confusing, please just unmute yourselves, interrupt me, and ask that question. I'm here for you guys. Also, usually Twitter Tuesdays are an hour. Today I need to head out at 2:30 because I have an appointment that I couldn't move. So Kendall, were you around, available to stick around for Q&A if people had questions?
Yeah, I can help out.
So everybody, this is Kendall. She is, or go ahead, or if you want to introduce yourself briefly.
Sure, thanks, Katie. Hi, y'all. My name is Kendall Benson. I'm the organizer at the National Advocates for Pregnant Women. We work to ensure that no one has their rights taken away when they become pregnant, and that no one's criminalized for the outcome of their pregnancy if they have an abortion, miscarriage, stillbirth, or give birth.
Great.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
very important.
And Kendall also has been volunteering with the campaign I started called Equity for Downstate for a while, and has been to a bunch of Twitter Tuesdays and is well versed in Twitter. So she is essentially could be running these things. So
That is very kind. Katie is definitely skills beyond mine, but I am happy to help.
If everyone just holds on 1 second, I think, Kendall, what I'm going to do is make you the host. And I think that will, hopefully that means when I log out, it doesn't end the meeting. If it does, I'll see you guys next week. Change host. There we go. Yeah, so like just to start off, like Twitter is overwhelming. That's why we're doing this as a weekly thing, so you can keep coming back. There's lots to learn. If you didn't catch it this week, we'll get you next week. So I'm sharing my screen and we'll just chat for a second before we hop onto Twitter. My name is Katy McFadden. I am a trained midwife, a former neonatal intensive care unit at SUNY Downstate, former registered nurse in the neonatal intensive care unit at SUNY Downstate Medical Center in East Flatbush, Brooklyn. And I also am a trained doula and worked as a volunteer doula with Ancient Song Doula Services for the past couple of years. Essentially my tie into becoming an activist for the New York Health Act is that while I was working in this neonatal intensive care unit, over 90% of the patients we cared for were Black. So in the 5 years I worked at this hospital, I never took care of a white baby. And while I was working there, I learned that Black babies are 3 times more likely to die before their first birthday than white babies. And I thought, holy shit, I'm a nurse that only takes care of Black babies. Why didn't I know that this disparity existed before? And why can't I explain what is causing this disparity? And then also, I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that we're very underfunded and understaffed at SUNY Downstate, and everything that happens at this hospital only happens to Black people, which would then ripple out to create population level disparities. And as I did more research and got involved in activism, I realized that that suspicion was correct, and that about half of the disparity between white and Black birth outcomes in New York is because of the lower quality of care offered at a concentrated set of minority serving hospitals. So again, because there are some hospitals that are way disproportionately serving Black and brown people, and those hospitals are much more dangerous than the hospitals where most white people are going in New York City, the health outcomes are worse, and that ripples out to create the population level health disparities. So why is it that hospitals offer such different levels of care? Why is it that one hospital is so much more dangerous than another hospital? Well, some hospitals get paid twice as much to do the same exact work as other hospitals do. Is the short answer, is that we have private and public insurance. Private insurance pays almost twice as much as what public insurance does for various services. And so if you if you have a hospital that almost only serves people on public insurance, the income they have, that the hospital has to spend on staff and services is half as much as a hospital that serves predominantly people on private insurance. And so you just can't offer the same level of care. How do we fix the disparities in funding? We passed the New York Health Act. So that is kind of how I got involved in advocating for the New York Health Act, is through that lens of being a whistleblower at a segregated Black hospital and seeing the on-the-ground effects of the divestment from our public health infrastructure. And so kind of sometimes people come from Twitter and don't know much about the New York Health Act. Some people know a lot about the New York Health Act, but don't know much about Twitter. I try to cover a little bit of everything for Twitter Tuesdays. But just to contextualize where we are at as a state is that despite us being in the midst of a pandemic, the budget that passed in April enacted $2.4 billion of cuts to Medicaid, 400 million of which will directly hit the New York City Health and Hospitals Corporation, which is where a lot of, in my field of infant maternal health, where most Black and brown people are giving birth. And in the context of a pandemic where people are going when they get sick, and then when they get there, what kind of care are they receiving if the hospital doesn't have money to run it? So you can, I'm going to take a second to just pause here and send you guys some links to the chat box. And these are just links of some of the things I've been showing you on the slides. So kind of one of your homework assignments for the week is going to be to copy paste these links onto a place where you have where you can access them, and go through and read some of the Twitter threads that I have put up, watch my testimony for the New York Health Act, and kind of my repetitive refrain will be like, the more time you spend on Twitter, the more sense it will make to you how to use it for activism purposes. I started a campaign called Equity for Downstate, which focuses on reducing racial health disparities through the lens of eliminating disparities in health financing. And so there was a couple of other things that the New York Health Act wouldn't have solved that we were focusing on, but the New York Health Act really is the main thing that Equity for Downstate is trying to push through, because that's the main legislation that will end the funding disparities. So if you are interested in getting more involved with Equity for Downstate and kind of my side campaign that is working in solidarity and in conjunction with the Campaign for New York Health, I just sent through the Google form. So please click through on that, fill it out, make sure I have your snail mail address, and put your Twitter handle. And the cool thing I am doing with that is I will be able to see who your representatives are. And if there's ever a time we need to get in touch with your representative, I can essentially like tweet at you the thing that you need to tweet to your representative. And if that sentence didn't make sense, it will soon.
Katie, really quickly, I think Tracy has a question.
Yes, what's that?
I was just wondering if you can send this presentation to us.
Absolutely. And before I forget, I'm just going to get the shareable link right here and copy link and send it to the chat box.
That would be great, because I'm on an iPhone, so it's hard to see a lot of it. Thank you so much.
Great. Done. Okay, so that brings us to the New York Health Act. We're one vote short. That's what we're going to do today, is try and get in touch with we have 63 senators in the state of New York. There should be 64 vacant. We have 31 co-sponsors of the New York Health Act, which means we get one more person and we have enough votes for New York's bill for universal guaranteed health care to pass and be made into law. And so what we are doing today is trying to get in touch with these 9 senators to let them know that there is the public demand for them to sign on and pass this bill. And it's working. Kendall and I actually met with Senator Diane Savino last Friday, and to give her to do issue education on things at Downstate, and our main ask was for her to sign on to New York Health. And she joked with us like, the easy thing for me to do would be to sign on to the Health Act so you guys would stop tweeting at me, but I have XYZ concerns, so let's meet in a couple of weeks. Like, I'm going to talk to the people I know who may help address XYZ concerns. You talk to the people you know who can help address XYZ concerns, and let's meet back in a couple of weeks. And like, I don't think Senator Savino would have, we got that meeting within like a week of us asking for it. So I don't think she would have met with us if it wasn't for like her putting together, oh, these are the people who keep bugging me on Twitter. And I don't think she would have been so like willing to work with us, willing to, she asked us for the follow-up meeting. So I think she's really phrasing it as, I want to support this bill, just there are these handful of concerns. And I think we pressure her for that to be genuine by keeping up the pressure on Twitter and her seeing that people are continuing to talk about this, and that this is something that, she'll hear about if she doesn't sign on to. So, the main way this works is that when you tweet at somebody in Twitter, so like my handle is @BrooklynGrows, and if you type that out and it turns blue, like the @BrooklynGrows, when you tweet that, I get a notification saying that you mentioned me in your tweet. And so the same thing is true of when you mention a senator in your tweet, or when you @ a state senator or an assembly person, either they or the person from their office who operates their account gets a notification saying somebody mentioned you in this tweet. Most state assembly people or most state legislators in New York have like between 4 and 7 people on their staff. So if they aren't operating their account themselves, the person who is operating it, like they talk to you on a regular basis. And so, if I tweet at the holdouts, I think my guess is they're ignoring me, or like the person who operates their account probably isn't saying like, oh, the same activist who's been tweeting at you for a year is tweeting at you again. But if I tweet at them and 10 people retweet me, then then the person at the end of the day has to mention to the senator like, hey, 10 of the notifications we got today were all about the New York Health Act. That's something people are talking about. Our office needs to be moving on that issue. So that is kind of like, normally when people use Twitter, they're trying to like they have people follow them on Twitter. You say clever and insightful things. People follow you to hear the clever and insightful things that you say, and you can try to get word out about the New York Health Act to your following. Like, that's one way to use Twitter, but that takes a lot of time. This way, like if the tweets that you are sending are specifically to the legislators, they're going to get a notification whether or not you have a lot of followers. And if you see folks like me, folks like the Campaign for New York Health, other active health activists tweeting, and you retweet us, every time I mention them and it gets retweeted, they get another notification. So that's why Senator Savino said, so you stop bugging me on Twitter, is because what we're about to do is going to send about, like, hopefully we'll send about 50 notifications to her phone in the process of 15 minutes. And she's going to know, like, oh, shoot, there are people out there organizing around this issue. We have to keep working on it. So with all of that said, this is, we're going to send out our first tweet. And this is essentially like the action for the day, because I'm going to have to leave in 10 minutes. But essentially the action for the day is we are sending either, if this is your first tweet, go ahead and tweet what I'm sending you as is. And what you're going to just copy it from the tweet box then when you go onto Twitter, you'll see on your phone, 1 second, let me get Twitter on my phone. If you, on your phone, it's this blue button that has the feather on it. And on your computer, it's this big tweet blue button. You're just gonna paste in what that the tweet that I sent you. If this isn't your first tweet ever, just delete it, so you can say it's not safe to protest in person, so I just delete this part. So I joined Brooklyn Grows to tell. So I'm gonna write, it's not safe to protest Cuomo medicates and cuss in person. And then I'm gonna write, so I'm teaching people to use Twitter to tell. And so now I'm adding, I have like, so when I said adding, this is what I mean, is that when you have this @ symbol in front of the person's handle, it's like computer code that links your tweet to their account. And when you tweet it out, they're going to get that notification. So I'm going to, also, there's no edit button on Twitter. So if you tweet something out and you don't like it, you have to delete it and retweet it, or just put a reply underneath it with what the correction is. But really, that means just read your tweet 2 or 3 times before you post it to make sure that it says what you wanted to say. Last week, I had the Past New York Health 2 spaces down, and half of the people retweeted the thing without it saying Past New York Health, and I was like, that's kind of takes away the purpose of the whole tweet if the hashtag's not there.
Can you talk a little bit more about the hashtag?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and tweet this out. And then I'm gonna search this, and I'm waiting and hoping that I see you guys tweeting at me soon. Because if you copy paste this, it has my handle in it. So I should get a notification. So while you're working on that, I'll just share a little bit. So the @ symbol, that connects you to people's profile for people. The hashtag is for ideas. And when you put a hashtag in front of a phrase, what it does is essentially links your tweet to every other tweet that has that same phrase behind the £, behind the number sign. And so that it aggregates all of those tweets into one area so you can see it all. So what I've done here is put into the search bar hashtag Past New York Health. And then usually when you do it, I'm not sure the Twitter algorithm is why this is the first tweet. I find more helpful than the top tweet is to look at the latest tweet, which shows you all of the tweets on that hashtag in reverse chronological order, so newest first. So as I'm talking, I see my notifications are going up, so I'm just gonna click over here. So beautiful, perfect. What you see here is when Kendall retweeted my tweet, I got a notification. I'm gonna like it, I'm gonna retweet it. When Sandy added me, I got that notification. Perfect. So when the same way that my notification blew up when you tweeted at me, so did all of the holdouts. So when I like this, now that I like that, every holdout just got a notification saying Brooklyn Grows liked that tweet. I'm retweeting it. Every holdout just got another notification saying Brooklyn Grows retweeted that tweet. You'll see, oh, beautiful. I'm gonna do the same thing with Miriam, or Mariam, sorry to mispronounce your name. And so what I want all of you guys to do is to do what I'm doing right now. So, but under the hashtag instead of under the notification.
Catherine, can I ask you a question? This is Maya.
Hi,
I can't see. I see myself, but where are you on my Twitter?
So I need to head off in just a couple minutes. So I'm going to finish my thought, and then I think Kendall should be able to help you out, like to troubleshoot Twitter. But so essentially the rest of the action for today is search the hashtag, go to latest, and you see everybody else tweeting. This arrow button here, this is the retweet button. So all you have to do to retweet it is press the retweet button and press retweet. So I just retweeted my own self, which is fine. And so the retweeting, this is the skill I especially want you guys to learn and have with you, because if you essentially once or twice a week search the past New York Health hashtag, and all you do is scroll and you look for people who are trying to get in touch with folks about the New York Health Act and retweet them, you, like, if just this Zoom does that, will have increased the amount of Twitter New York Health activism by 25-30%. And if every Zoom I teach does that, like in a month, we'll have doubled the Zoom or the Twitter presence for the New York Health Act. In 2 months, we'll triple it. You get the idea. So, if you scroll down 4 hours ago, Jeffrey Mickelson, who's a a Twitter activist who's been tweeting about this for a long time. James Skoufis is one of the senators whose vote we need on the New York Health Act. He had coronavirus. He got better. And Jeffrey here is saying, congratulations for getting better. Imagine how much scarier that experience would have been if you were like the New York, like many New Yorkers who don't have insurance. So it probably took him, 10-15 minutes to think about that, type it all out, spell check it, read it a couple of times, and tweet it out. All I had to do is press this button once and retweet it for him. And so James Skoufis got a notification from Jeffrey. He got a notification from me, and hopefully all of you are going to scroll through this past New York Health hashtag and retweet everyone else who's tweeting at people to make sure that that gets boosted. So you'll see Kendall just tweeted something. I'm liking it, which gives a notification, and I'm retweeting it. And so now all of these people just got another notification about why we should pass the New York Health Act. So guys, thank you all so much. That is as much time as I have today. Hopefully when I hang up, the thing doesn't end and Kendall will be able to answer any questions. If it does end, I'll see you guys next week. And homework is essentially follow some people follow some celebrities you like, follow some organizations you like, follow some people who are important in your field, spend some time just like looking to see how people use Twitter throughout the week. As well as all the retweeting things. So when in future weeks, when you come back, we'll just all be more comfortable with the medium and be able to do more creative things in the future. Hope to see you guys all next week. Thank you guys so much for coming today.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.